What's up, gang? This is Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And we're going to do a short no-frills video on Solana, S-O-L. There will be more videos coming on this project from me, but for right now, we just need to run over the TA. But before I start, let me tell you a quick story. I should have jumped on this back when I first discovered it at $10. I decided I would buy in during the 20s, and then it pumped up to 35, and I thought, well, let me wait until it corrects back down to below 30. Meanwhile, my neighbor, Jai Dillon, shout out to Jai, he jumped on and got a pile of Solana at 20-something. So he's looking very good right about now with a big, huge, fat bag that has gone up, what, 10x, 20x, since the time that I decided that I needed to jump on this project. I will talk about the fundamentals of this project and why I think it is significant and everyone needs to pay attention. But for now, we're going to talk TA and look for the next possible entry point. Here we are on the 4-hour chart with SOL. And we are going to analyze this action based on the positioning of the stochastic and also the MACD and the oscillators. First of all, as you can see, this little red box right down here, that was my kill zone box that got utterly destroyed. When we were down here in the 20s, I had extended this box out here and then I edged it over and then I left it up here, and it just makes me look stupid. And I'm leaving it there as a reminder to go with my first inclination when I discover a project that is this significant, especially for the reason that it could overtake or at least compete with Ethereum. But anyway, that's for the next video. Back to the chart. Let's look at the stochastic peaks and help us to find a possible entry point that we will not get clowned. Because one thing you don't want to do is buy on an absolute peak and then watch the price drop with a significant correction. Unfortunately, this romp has gone on for so long, since the 26th of August, and it has not looked back. The first peak we had drove price up to nearly $90 right here. We had a slight correction on this dip here in the stochastic, but it jumped right back up and we got this double hump. And on that next peak, bam, we drove all the way up to $125. Two huge selling volume bars later, we had this nice dip in the stochastic cycle. And what did it do? It held solid. This should have been my clue right here to jump on. That should have been the point of entry. Why? It's because when you compare the stochastic cycle, when it hits that bottom dip with where the price is, and it was remaining in a side banding mode, that should have let me know that there was another pump that was going to be coming, which it did. Now here it is. There's a complete double hump camel. That's what I like to call it when the stochastic stays above the 80 line in the overbought zone. And from this double hump camel, we had this peak, slight correction, if you could even call it that. Those are all green candles. 1, 2, 3, 4 4-hour green candles after only a single red. And then we get this peak that was nearly at $150. The next significant stochastic drop right here also should have been the clue. Why? Because the price that it returned was not that significantly lower. It was side banding. It dipped down just a little bit, and then we started in for that next romp, which was very significant. So at this stochastic peak here, price pushed up to just about, what, 180 some odd dollars, just shy of 190. And then finally, we had one more stochastic dip that started and ended right here. And the price that it returned was a little bit more significant of a correction, and that's why I waited. We almost touched down on the 50 EMA line, but as soon as it got close to it, we pumped again. And now we have the current stochastic peak right here that looks like it is about to cross over and start another cycle. So here we have the high, the all-time high right there, sitting above 200. It was about what, 215, somewhere around there. And now we can sit back and wait and see what happens with this next dip. Now, here's my game plan, and it is not financial advice. Make your own decisions and do your own due diligence. Since we have a little bit of a red candle here, we're going to see what happens as it relates to this stochastic crossover, where the blue line, the fast line, it looks like it's going to overtake the slow line and cross over. If we can get another dip here, which it might not be significant, at the low point of this stochastic dip, I am going to get my first little bag. All I can pray for is a return somewhere down here to the 50 EMA. If that happens, glorious, I'm in. That'll be my first buy. Now, whatever happens after that is fine, because we have targets that we can look for if we can get a significant enough correction. Now, it may not happen. This may go on until we hit $1,000, where we're just bouncing off of this 50 EMA and not ever coming back to the 200. The only way that we can possibly see a return to the 200 is if Bitcoin has a major correction and yanks the entire market down. We'll have to wait on that. If we do come down below the 50, here is a volume node right here. Let's see where it is at, approximately 142. I would buy again there. If we continue to drop, the next node is at 115. I absolutely will grab a little bit more there. Now, if we're super lucky, maybe we come back down to this small node at the 90, and of least probability would be coming back to this big fat volume node right here at the point of control price of $73. And like I said, that's least probable. I don't think we're ever going to see that again. So that's my game, to get into this zone somewhere around here where I would continue to DCA until we get down here to 73 if that happened. And like I said, I don't see it happening. My highest probability of what I'm looking at with the chart here is hopefully a dip to the 50, and then it's going to move up again into this area. So we're going to bounce right out of there and probably move up. But as it's moving up, I'm going to buy. The reason is, the year before last, in March, when we had the cataclysmic drop of the stock market and the crypto market, there was a project that I wanted to pick up on, and it is called Ethereum. Now, guess what? Ethereum hit the bargain level price of what? $90. That was in the drop during the COVID crisis with the market. I was going to buy 10 Ethereum. That was my game plan. But just as soon as it hit that 90, it did a dead cat bounce. Dead count backs. What is that? And it bounced up immediately, and then it settled in at a nice little price of 130. So that's where I said, hey, I'm going to wait. The market is still going down. Once it corrects back to at least 100, I'm going to strike. Well, guess what? As you know, it never returned to that price again. It was gone. The second opportunity I had was last fall when I purchased 2 Ethereum at $400, and I sold for a profit at $650, thinking it would dip back down and I would try to double down. Well, guess what? It never came back. That is why I am not going to miss the opportunity to do this with this project called Solana, because it can possibly compete with Ethereum, and it has already solved the puzzle of moving massive amounts of transactions at a dirt cheap price where it doesn't need layer 2 solutions. When DeFi comes along, and it's already involved in NFTs, but when we jump into the DeFi phase with this project, all bets are off. This thing is going to skyrocket. Again, I'm not saying that under unquestionable authority. It's my guess. Do your own due diligence and do not take this as financial advice. However, please know that I am very serious about getting involved with purchasing a bag of SOL so that I don't end up SOL like I did with Ethereum. So that's all for now. But before we go, let's do one more thing. Let's jump out to the 1-day chart and see what it looks like. It's even uglier here. Ugly meaning it went straight up while I sat and waited for a correction. Look at that, folks. Ridiculous. Now, here's the little volume nodes that you can see. There's the one that's at around 140. Here's the one sitting around 110 and the big one at 75. Look at the point of control. It'll never hit that. The point of control price on the VPVR for the 1-day chart is sitting at 34.55. That's of this visible range. Never going to happen again. The only thing that we can hope for is that we will get out of this ridiculous zone where the stochastic has not left. It has decided that it wants to stay up here and overbought. And this can't last forever. It's going to have a cycle at some point. Hopefully, it is possible that it will continue on for a time, but it can't stay up there forever. So whenever we do get a cycle down with the stochastic, it's time to pounce. In fact, let's make that red. Here we go. We want to dip like that. And this MACD is giving us no hint as to when this is coming down. Notice how the fast line on the oscillators is diverging from the slow line. The gap is widening, and we're just steady climbing on the histogram bars right there. We need this to slow down and start to curl down where we can get a crossover where this price could settle down. But again, it might not happen. Well, that's all I've got for now. I would like you to post your comments about your thoughts about Solana and what you think about any correction coming up in the near future and what your thoughts are on the fundamentals of this project. And if you think it has the possibility of flipping ETH in the future. That's all I've got for now. Stay tuned and we will talk about this more in the near future. This is Carlton and I am out.